Welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword's with you once again. Today, a special treat for you, a newly released tactical blade from TKell Knives, a collaboration with Tarani, and it is this is Steve Tarani, by the way. It is called the Tarani Close Quarters Triangle Fixed Blade Series. I'll let you grab a quick shot of that and scroll through a little bit more. Then again, you're going to get the link, so why am I doing that? Real quick, see if I can hit some of the highlights here. This is a quality everyday carry, EDC carry knife that needs to be both lightweight and durable. If you plan on carrying it on your person, then you want something readily accessible and comfortable to wear. And it should take up a minimal real estate on your body and be durable enough to withstand hard use. And one such set of blades is designed by subject matter expert Steve Tarani and built by master knifesmith TKell. It is the Tarani Close Quarters TCQ Triangle Fixed Blade Series. And without reading the whole thing, Tim goes on to describe it. And the version, there are 4 blade versions. There is a Yoroi Doshi, which is the one I'm going to show you. There's the Ridgeback. There is the clip point. And are there 3 or are there 4? And there's the spear point. So I'm going to show you the Yoroi Doshi, which is Japanese for armor piercing blade, and it is what you would normally call a chisel point tanto. We'll get to the sheath in a moment, but I know you're all waiting to see this. This is not going to be a blade you get because it's pretty. This is going to be a blade you get because it is useful. And this sucker is useful. A very unique handle, as you can see. It's more like a pistol grip than a T grip that you'd normally see on a what we would call a push dagger. So also, because of the shape of the handle, I am told by TKell that Steve Tarani designed this to not be classified as a push knife or T-handled knife because that is illegal in some jurisdictions. So this is constructed to, if you excuse the term, work around that definition. Tim is working in, I'm going to verify this for you, but I believe it's 1095. So as near as I can tell, Tim has switched from 1095 to 80 CRV2 steel. And it is specially heat treated. Once again, I'm not going to give you all the specifics, but there is plenty to read on TKell's website if you haven't been there before. He drills down into every aspect of his knives. So let's talk about the grip and the handle. There are 3 grips that I've been told by Tim that this handle was designed around by Steve Tarani. And by the way, Steve Tarani has an extensive background in military and tactical training and has many, many years of fighting arts experience with Indonesian fighting arts, Filipino fighting arts. And one of the first things that Steve Tarani had come out with that I was aware of was a karambit and several folding as well as fixed blade karambits. And I'm talking about, we're going back into, I think, at least the early 2000s, if not the 1990s, where he was offering these blades through his own company. And the 511 company had also produced several of his knives. I have one, which is the Journeyman Karambit. But we're not talking about karambits today. We're talking about TCQ, Tarani Close Quarters. Now what you see here that looks a little uneven is a nickel boron finish, which protects the steel from corrosion and also is an extremely slippery substance that allows the blade to pass through objects and penetrate objects with little or no friction. Let's talk about those three grips again. So your traditional push dagger grip, we'll call it that, between the first and the second fingers. They don't mention it, but you could, if you wanted to, go between the middle and the third fingers. It's a little less comfortable. I'm going to go with the grip that Tim has suggested. The second grip is to grip it here and place the finger along the blade to guide it for cuts. And the final grip is to grab it here. Now you're not going to get all your fingers into the grooves. You're going to get the first finger in there and then just fold the rest of your fingers there and place the thumb on top. And believe it or not, this gives a very interesting and an instinctive feel with the blade. Blade comes through razor sharp. It is thick. We're going to measure it up in a moment. And it is very substantial with a full tang all the way back into that handle. But again, I would classify this as a pistol grip and certainly not a T grip. Very, very interesting. You could probably even figure out ways beyond those three that you want to hold this. I'm most comfortable here and here, okay? And you can see you've really got two cutouts in this shorter handle. And what we're going to find out in a minute is how it fits into the sheath and a little bit more about the sheath. It's supplied with a Kydex sheath, and you also have other options. This is the grenade grip. Also comes in what they call a bullet grip, and you can order different handle colors. You get a lot of variety. You can also get the lashing screws. These are not the lashing screws. The lashing screws, you can see right through them, and you could actually lash this to a stick or a staff for use as a spear, or you could lash it to, whatever. 3 screws holding it on very securely. Going to jump to the measurements, okay? Overall, and if I go to the furthest part of the handle, we're talking about 6 1/4 inches, a little less if we go here. And we've got a blade length of 3 1/2 inches, 3 1/4 cutting on this one. This is, I understand, possibly a little shorter than the other 3 models. And this is the one I preferred, and I think I asked Tim to send me this one because I feel that, see the way that back angles down and presents the point on line? This is going to have lots of penetrating ability and a secondary tip. So as you're slashing with this, that tip presents itself and cuts open whatever it is you're after. You could even use that in a utility fashion very easily. So if we do hold it this way, we've got a lot of utility. As Tim was saying, you could even skin with it. Whatever last ditch sort of effort you need to make. And the handle being in this direction, not sticking way out here, presents a very short profile on the belt. And again, we'll look at that in a moment. So in inches, if we go to the handle first, we've got 0.56, really not very thick at all for a fixed blade knife. If we go to the blade stock, we got 0.16. And in millimeters, That's 4.1 millimeters, so a very significant heavy blade stock. Let's see what she weighs. I'm going to weigh it with the sheath, since that's what you're going to be carrying. There we go. So we've got 8 ounces with the sheath. Heavier than you might imagine because of that blade stock. Now, we'll talk about that sheath. Tim indicates that there are 3 sheath tensions that are available. And he refers to that as a measured draw weight in his information. I think you can get these up to 8 pounds of draw weight. I may or may not be correct on that. Oh, here we go. So 5, 7, or 3 pound draw weight. And the standard is the 3 pound draw weight. This holds it in. There is no rattle whatsoever. Tim makes some of the best, most useful sheaths out there for all of his knives, and I've got several. So this is a 3 pound. Not difficult at all. I would say it's just about right, and it clips in there just perfectly. There's a lot of expensive knives I have where the Kydex sheaths just don't fit properly. Either they're way too tight or they're loose and they rattle. I have to say that amongst production companies, just as an aside, the Civivi knife company on their fixed blades makes some excellent, well-fitted sheaths. So I really like those. So here's the angle on this guy. I have a little section of belt I had to cut off of an extra long belt here, but just to show you how that rides, let's get it in the middle. You can see that that handle goes down into, and this is set up for either appendix carry, or you can probably shift that to kidney carry, middle of the back carry. And I'll show you how the screws can change direction if you want for a scout carry in a moment. But you've got, see, just enough right there. This was designed so you can put a finger through there and pop it right out. And notice there's not much sticking up here at all that's going to poke you in the ribs. That I really like. So it's riding at about a 45. Here's some extra holes. So if you want to shift this over to here, that clip will become vertical, and you then have a horizontal scout carry. Very easy. Take one screw out, slip it over, and you've got the scout carry. These are the Chicago screws. This is a very tough plastic clip. It can easily be replaced with discrete carry clips or possibly ulti clips. I think there's a double ulti clip and there's a double discrete carry clip. And Tim provides those as well. So you've got a lot of options. You've got a handle option. You've got sheath tension options. Lots of ways you can specialize this knife when you order it. So we've got those dimensions. We've got the weight. Let's take another look at the knife and do a quick compare to a very interesting Tops push dagger that I picked up a while ago. I believe I got this at an auction at the Knife Junkie. And this is the Tops iStick. Now, I said that this one weighed 8 ounces. The Tarani close quarters. Just for comparison, this thing is like a Mack truck. This weighs almost 13 ounces. Coming up on a pound. I don't find it to be an extremely useful push dagger that I would carry. I think some would argue with that. You might love it. They designed it to be extremely thick. What is the, if you want to do millimeters, let's not even do millimeters. Let's do inches. I don't know how to hold it here. It's over a 1/4 inch, 0.37 inches. But that's, I think, my only other push dagger in the collection, aside from a plastic cold steel one made out of grivery. But see, just an example of a T-handle, slightly modified, a little different on one side than the other, where you can pinch it here with your fingers, I would suppose, or rest your thumb there. Now, see, now this feels most comfortable for me between the middle and the third fingers, rather than up here, right? And it's sort of set up that way, I think, because you get that even distribution of your grip. But you can see these two, this is actually a little longer. And if we're talking about the blades, we've got a long stem on this one, so measurements are going to be a little different, and it's double-edged. Now, Tim purposely did not make this double edge. And I would say Tim, but really Steve and Tim didn't make this double edge because, again, this will be fine within certain jurisdictions. Blade length should be fine, and it is not a T-handled push dagger. So something you can carry, last ditch, really effective. And mastering the hold on it, unless you just decide to go this way, will take a little bit of time. I know it took a little bit of time for me to get comfortable with, say, a grip like that, but now it just melds right in. And I would practice the draw. One thing I always recommend is that whatever knife you're carrying, make sure that if it's for defensive purpose, you practice with it. You have a system. And Steve Tarani does teach a course. I'm not sure if it's available online. I know he teaches it in person, and or will be. There it is next to the Griptilian, just for size. So you can see it's smaller than a Griptilian, and certainly is going to be stronger in many respects. So there you have it. The TKell Tarani collaboration, Steve Tarani design, Steve Kell custom maker, Steve Kell, Tim Kell. Sorry, Tim. It's early in the morning here, and I'm trying to get a few reviews out today, but I want to give you the best we can give you on this one, as it is a lot of effort that went into it, and I wish Tim the best. Many of these have already gone out to law enforcement departments and military, and is getting a lot of positive recognition. The TCQ, Tarani Close Quarters Triangle. Shall we call it a push dagger? No, we shall not. But it is certainly an interesting knife, something you may want to add to your collection, something you may want to carry. Going to be comfortable to carry this guy. And there you go. So thank you, Tim, for supplying this for review. And I really wish you success with this knife. I think it's going to be a real standout. Be well, take care, and don't forget to give us a like here and subscribe while you're at it.